Hello, I'm Sue. Welcome to Fireside Chat. It's really nice to spend time with you today. I'm in Toronto and I'm going to have a couple of episodes where we can go out and go to different events and just kind of explore a bit. Toronto is a city of so much like its history. It's like the biggest, kind of maybe the biggest city in Canada, I think. And so kind of been here for a long time, and I'd really love to go to University of Toronto. That's where I went to school. University of Toronto campus was used several times in movies for Harvard. It's got like kind of ivy colored walls, and it just looks so architecturally similar to like a really nice Ivy League university. And so it'd be really cool to maybe walk around there and get some shots of the buildings and maybe go inside one of the bigger, auditoriums and things like that. So it would be really fun to do that. And we have like there's so much. It's like a kind of unimaginable how much there is like going on in Toronto. It's not the capital of Canada, but you'd think it was because it's always kind of been the center. It's super expensive to live in, and so a lot of people are gonna have to go further out, like in all directions. The In a sense, the only direction they can't go further out is it ends in the lake. So Lake Ontario is kind of like under Toronto. So like you can go upwards and you can go in either direction to maybe look at some areas that would be a bit more affordable, if you're looking for a house or something like that. But in Toronto, it's very like normal to see like a tiny house for $1 million. And you always think to yourself, like, what kind of a job, do you have to get that you can afford like, a $750,000 mortgage or whatever, like whatever it is, like it doesn't feel like it's worth it. There's a lot of people that have cottages and homes in Toronto. There was like one of the sharks, his name is Robert Herjavec, and he has lived in Toronto for a very long time. His house is in a beautiful area, very exclusive, very quiet. It's called the Bridle Path, and it's bridle as in the horse's bridle. And those homes are, for sure, like several $1 million. And it'd be super fun to do a little tour, like to cause show those homes and stuff like that. There's just it's overwhelming how much there is to do in Toronto. And I noticed that a really big thing that they seem to be doing here is there's a lot of cover bands. So like yesterday, I was just looking at, the next few weeks, like what's going on at different venues. And so like there was like, Led Zeppelin cover band and like every imaginable kind of person there was a cover band and they were performing. So kind of like whoever you like you can kind of go and enjoy their music, but it's not going to be, the person. So if you're a Pink Floyd fan or an Elton John fan, you can go and see and hear the cover band. And it's almost like, right, it's not the same thing, but at least the tickets might be affordable because some of these bands that have been around a long time, their tickets are unbelievably expensive. And so yeah, so Paul McCartney, Sir Paul, is coming to Toronto for I think 2 nights, and the tickets start at $2,000. And if you go online and you kind of add your name to like a waiting list or whatever, my friend did, and he's 40,000 in line. He's like 40,000 back from being at the front of the line. Like that's crazy for $2,000, right? So I don't think I'll be going to any concerts because, that's a lot. But um, it's kind of nice that people enjoy music so much. And so tomorrow we're gonna go to the Canadian National Exhibition, and that is a huge like outdoor kind of fair where they have several buildings that are like different kind of theme buildings. Like there's one called the Better Living Center, and it's really fun to go in there because they always have like new kinds of like contraptions and things like that, of things that are meant to like make your home more efficient or better or whatever it is. And it's like you kind of get a glimpse of what is being developed in the future, to be like, I guess efficient, efficient, or to make your life easier. And so, like, probably, like 10 years before the Roomba, like that would be a kind of something that they might show at the Better Living Center, is like something like that, where it's kind of like nobody ever, nobody has one of these things, but in the future, we could develop something like that. A really fun building is called the Food Building, and that has like, oh my gosh, every imaginable kind of food, like possible. It's just this huge building, and it's just different people, who set up, to provide meals and food and snacks and whatever. And that's probably the most fun building, because we all get happy when we know that we're going to have food. So it's just like super fun to go in there and walk around. But I'll probably, like, I'll try to kind of capture some of it, maybe with photos and things like that, so you can get an idea of like what kind of food are we talking here. But Toronto is very multicultural, very kind of ethnic and diverse. So there's so many kinds of nationalities and cuisines available. Like even here, like within 5 minutes, there's probably like 30 different kinds of, like cuisines. Like, so there, Vietnamese, and there's like, you know what I mean? Like all different kinds of things. And so it's insane for selection, like, what do you want to eat? It's like, oh my God, that's going to be like a whole other level of decision, because there's so many things to choose from, that it's crazy. It's crazy. So, but it's just a great city, like, I think I went to the bank, and I went to the post office, and I went another place, and at all three places, I mentioned, oh, we're going to go to the CNE, the X, and each time the people I was talking to, like at the banks and stuff, they said, "Oh, I'm going tomorrow," or "We're going to, we're going on Sunday," or whatever. So it was really kind of funny that like three out of three people that I just happened to talk to in line were going this weekend. So you can just get an idea of how many. I have no idea how many people like go to the X, but this is the last weekend. So, because of like the air show is gonna go on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the air show is about 3 hours of like skilled kind of, maneuvers and different kinds of groups that come from sometimes other countries. Probably the stars of the show are the Canadian snowbirds, and they don't have the same jets as the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels, but they are amazingly skilled at, using their planes to do different kinds of formations, and it's really fun. So if I can kind of get something on video, I'll try. But a lot of things, like, you're looking in the sky to where like you think they're going to come out, but they come out so fast that you can't even like open your phone, like they're already gone, right? Like it's crazy how fast, right? But sometimes if they're going to fly in front of you, then you have like a few seconds to at least like get ready and then try to track it, right? But like this thing is going, I don't know how fast it's going. It's crazy. I have no idea how fast it's going. So it's really, it's really kind of fun. Everyone's enjoying the weather and all that. It's been kind of cool the last few days, but we're supposed to have a really nice weekend. So I'm really hoping that you guys do too, have really good weather where you are. Yeah, so it's just kind of like to go and walk around and, people watch the usual. And they have a huge midway, which is all like, big rides, so like Ferris wheels and really huge. Like it's quite I think it's a mile long. There's that many rides. And of course, they have all the food trucks and oh my God, that's always a big deal, right? All the incredibly unhealthy but looks wonderful food that you can have, while you're enjoying the day. And on the lake too, kind of like sort of connected, I guess, to the Canadian National Exhibition, is a kind of a place to go to. It's a tourist kind of place. It's called Ontario Place. And it has like different exhibits, and it has like different, bridges and all kinds of things. And they built like this really big like Cinesphere. So the Cinesphere is this huge white I guess it's a sphere. Yeah, it's a sphere. And it's sort of like got these little kind of triangle kinds of looking things all the way through it. It's white. And they play IMAX movies in the Cinesphere. So I really want to watch the IMAX movie Blue Angels. And so I don't know if they're going to play it there, but that would be amazing if it was there. Oh my gosh, I'd be so happy. So it's really fun to go there, and kind of experience because whatever the IMAX movie is, you're going to feel like you're in it, right? So if they're going down a roller coaster, like you literally feel like, that you're in it, like that you're going down this roller coaster. And I think they have something like 24 cameras hooked up to produce that IMAX effect. And they've even done like a movie like called Everest that they went to, I think, the top of Everest, and did like an IMAX movie. And that's really hard because like the cameraman and the director and the producer, they're like climbing Everest. So, to get those shots, like look at that unbelievable dedication of those people who literally decide, let's climb Everest so we can make a movie about it. And I think that's just incredible because that's dedication, isn't it? That right there, that is major dedication. I really have no interest in ever climbing Everest or even being cold for 5 minutes. And so I have no interest in becoming colder than, no, it's just that's not fun. Um, so like there's just so much. So I definitely want to go to University of Toronto to show you that school and the grounds. And there's like this cool kind of neighborhood called Queen Street West. And so it's kind of like goth and like street clothes and you know it's just got its own vibe, and it's really close to the Eaton Center. And there was this big store called Eaton's. They aren't around anymore, but we got to call this huge, it's like 300 stores, the Eaton Center. So it's several floors. They have like a connection to the subways, and it's just really fun to go in there. So it's all kinds of different stores and everything. But it's quite big. It's very open, very, very open. Like you can imagine the height of the ceilings. It's crazy. But it's really kind of fun. And right near there, you know how New York has Times Square, right? So Toronto has Dundas Square because Dundas Street is kind of what like the Eaton Center is on. So they have these huge billboards and everything, and it looks just like Times Square. So I think they have like, concerts and they do things like fun things there. And then you can sort of feel like, you're in this downtown kind of, cool vibe to it. Um, Toronto has a lot of restaurants. They have there's like a lot of things to do, and there's a lot of like kind of unique kinds of places to go visit. So one of them is, it's called Casa Loma, and it's actually a castle that a private citizen like built this castle, and it was supposed to be something like 110 rooms, and it's like all like brick and stone, and it just looks like a fairy tale castle. It's beautiful, and you can go in there and tour, the grounds and the castle. And I think that the person who was building it, I think that he had to abandon the project because I think it was probably costing too much money. So you can imagine something that's 110 rooms and like the grounds and everything that that place would have to have. So that's called Casa Loma. The Ontario Science Center is a really cool kind of very interactive, hands-on kind of, it has exhibits and things like that. And I think they're moving to like where the CN Tower is. Um, I think. But right now the Science Center is in it was in like sort of midtown um, of Toronto. So traffic is getting worse in Toronto. A lot of the hours of the day, kind of like every day, it's really busy. So it's not quite LA traffic, but I think it's in the top 10 uh, worst traffic in the world is Toronto. So you just have to try to be aware of what time you need to be in an appointment, or if you're going to have to kind of cross the city, uh, you have to kind of leave in the morning. You just have to factor traffic into every decision that requires you to be on time somewhere. But my daughter says the same thing. In LA, it's two different times. So if you say, how long does it take to get to Anaheim? You're going to get one answer is going to be in the traffic, and the other answer is if there's no traffic. And it's two completely different numbers. So it's very interesting. Toronto, it's incredibly expensive to live. A lot of people, of course, rent because even a small home, depending on the area, can be $1 million or more. So like a beautiful home, like might be, 2 million or 5 million. And it's not like you get an acre of land and like you don't, like it just could be a very plain 4 bedroom, um, two garage, maybe if you're lucky, um, maybe a basement. So it's just incredibly expensive to live, but I don't know how many million people live in Toronto, but it's got to be, I don't know, like maybe 7 million or 10 million. I don't really don't know. But it's definitely like a really fun place to visit. So if you stay downtown, then there's just so many things to do. It's kind of like Chicago. Chicago feels like it's got this kind of fun energy, and there's so many attractions. They have so many museums and things like that. So Toronto, I think, is very similar to Chicago. It has a lot of transit and stuff too, so you don't have to have a car, but it depends kind of where you're staying. So if you're downtown, there's a subway and there's a GO train and there's like a light rail that's above ground, as well as buses and streetcars, like to get you around, to get you where you need to go. Pearson Airport, the code for that is YYZ in America, and it's an international airport and it has a couple terminals. Uh, it's really busy, of course, and Air Canada has their own terminal. So the other airlines kind of like, get parked at, go leave and depart and whatnot and arrive at the other terminal. So definitely, like if you're pretty comfortable driving on highways, it's not too bad to get around. I feel like Detroit is a bit more confusing than Toronto because Toronto is mostly like grid, and you know that if you hit the water, then you're south, right? So if you can see the water like kind of thing, then that's going to be south. And Yonge Street, it's spelled Yonge, is the longest street in the world, I believe. And it starts in Toronto, like way up north, and it ends in Fort Lauderdale, or it ends at the very tip, I think, of Florida. I think it goes all the way down. Um, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, like it's known for uh culinary, incredible uh choices of restaurants and things like that. The neighborhoods are really fun. There's like a little Italy and a Chinatown and like kind of like a little Portugal, and there's like some of these neighborhoods, like a little German town, whatever. So if you like to have certain kinds of food, or you're interested in a culture, it's really fun to go to different areas where they have it looks like Detroit too. Detroit has like Greek Town and that kind of thing. So but it's a great city, and your American dollars definitely go farther. So today, 1 American dollar is 133 Canadian. So can you imagine that if you bought something that was like 10, I guess, what is it? If it was $10 American, um, you're paying like 13.30 um in Canadian dollars. So it's kind of like you're getting a 30% discount just because of the currency exchange. But I will say, you know what? I do feel really safe. Like here, I feel like really comfortable here in Montreal and also in Toronto because we have a very reasonable prime minister here, Mark Carney, and he's kind of really one of the leaders of the free world. He is really incredibly dealing like so well with the US, but also with other countries. So he has, I think Canada has been invited to be one of the Nordic Five, and the Nordic Five are like Finland, Sweden, Denmark. There's like five countries, and they have standards of how they treated citizens. Do they have universal health care? Do they have like childcare? Do they have like it's basically how do these countries like treat their children? Are their schools excellent? Like there's a couple of things you have to achieve to be part of the Nordic Five, and Canada was just asked to join like this week. So that's really good. Apparently, the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has agreements with, I don't know how many, either 11 or 17 countries in the Europe and like around there, like India and different countries to be their best trading partner and all that. So Canada has really reduced its dependence on the US, which has been there forever, and instead is having really good deals with all these other countries. And so Canada is always like invited to the table where Oh my God, menopause questions. What the hell? Honestly, my friends at the station, like, good Lord. But yeah, so I'll be able to maybe I'll shoot some video and we can kind of talk about some of the fun things to do in Toronto if you ever get a chance to come here. It's pretty easy to like at the border, they're happy to see you because like they used to have a lot of a lot of Americans visiting, and so we don't have as much, so it's really nice when we do see license plates from Michigan and things like that. It's like, oh, that's good, you're welcome here. But I guess leave your red hat at home. And so if you're reasonable and you're polite and you don't treat people horribly and you don't like have people at gunpoint or whatever, it's that would be a good idea to be polite and classy and considerate to visit Canada, and you'll be welcomed. So it's just so much fun really to be in a new place and to feel comfortable. Like I've lived in Toronto, grew up in Toronto, all the way through like university, and so I really feel like I really like enjoyed being from here because really you can go anywhere else, and it's kind of like it's like the city life, so it's really cool. Also, movie and production and music and all that. There's a huge scene for all of that here in Toronto. There always has been. And so, it's a great place if you want to look into doing a production. Definitely Canada wants to, kind of work with you to, that there's not a lot of red tape, that you can actually start filming or producing your project here. And of course, remember the Canadian dollar, you're getting a huge return on your own, American dollar. So good to think about, right? And if you're kind of thinking about, I'd like to maybe do some kind of a project or whatever, um, I know the phone number was up there. So if you want to talk to me about, do you need a director? Do you need a producer? There it is. And I really couldn't take any menopause questions because I'd have no idea what to say. But I'm not Dr. Sue, but it's super fun hanging out with you. Maybe oh, I'm gonna have to start like studying up on stuff because that's kind of it's a lofty goal is what that is. That is lofty. But you know what? The people at the station, they always continue to challenge me and to go along with, all our fun ideas. We really try to actually, right, put into reality, put into action our crazy little ideas for shows and things like that. And so I'm going to continue to do that because we have the best time, right? They're the dearest people in the whole world, and really happy that a couple of my friends are now producers because the station staff treats them so very well. And it's just the best thing ever, to have a TV show. I can't even tell you. So I'm so glad to be talking to you. I'm glad that it's confirmed. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's really nice to have the number one show in CNN TV. It's a good thing we don't have metrics and analytics because it's probably not that great for me, but hopefully, you know what? It's just kind of fun. Okay. It's really fun to sort of just bring you into my experience of Canada. And so that way, where I go, you can go too. And we can kind of like just see what's there and learn, right? And kind of like continue to evolve really into like the next highest version of yourself. And that kind of includes, always being educated, always trying to keep on top of trends and things like that, to always want to see what's cool and what's happening and what people are talking about and everything like that. And so it's my pleasure spending time with you, and thank you so much for your kind attention, and I'm looking forward to talking with you next week. So please take good care of yourselves, totally enjoy this weekend, and make sure that somewhere in there that you have ice cream, because you know what, winter is coming at some point and we're going to really miss these days. So take care of yourselves, be safe, and know that I love you, and we'll talk soon. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. What is this? Sovereign citizen. What is that? Next week on the show. Yeah, and I'll try to get the people that we think are kind of fascinating on the show. And I know you know who I'm talking about, Chris. And so but it's, we're just gonna kind of bring people along, right, for the ride, because we might as well. It doesn't cost you anything to come along on my adventures and hijinks and shenanigans and goings on. So we have to, all of those things are going to happen because that's my life. And so, but I hope that, you can enjoy just kind of, learning new things and talking to cool people. And it is fun to talk to Canadians, certainly, because, they're pretty reasonable really on the whole. And so but they do a lot of recycling and stuff. Man, like oh my God, like enough with the friggin' like, oh my God, like there's all these, different compartments, and you're like, oh my God, like just like, what do I do with this? And you have to read what's recyclable and what's like landfill and what, like, oh my God, and like, no, just no, no, it's too much work trying to figure that. Okay, so bye bye. See you next week. Thank you. Have a great evening. Perfect. That was so much fun. I hope I can hear you guys.